Reese. Where are we going? I ask as Clone leads me through the wastelands outside of town. Scrown offered to clean up after dinner the second Clone asked if she could show me around the fields of Sheeta. Honestly, I thought it would have been more difficult to get some time alone after how worried Screon was. I guess Screon is taking her at her word that she was able to finish whatever those preparations were. A place where you can look over the translations and no one will notice, Clone answers, forbidden texts and all. We end up sitting at a haven outside Sheeta. Clone passes me a crystal. It works just like the one you used on Kermapira, Clone says as she leans against one of the horns, petting Blueberry. I begin reading through the first couple paragraphs of the translation. Excerpts from the Reformed Book of Fetus. Lots of stuff about their gods. Mostly about Fetus. Fetus is the best god. She is so great that she dedicated each of the seasons to one of her fellow gods, the ones who suck. Except the old leader. Well, he may have sucked, but he didn't get a season. Probably not enough seasons to go around. He got to watch over the god's home, Enki, instead. She has a few notes about Enki. Enki is a place from their folklore where their gods live. The Blubbers decided to name the gas giant Pagos revolves around after it as a homage to their gods. Or, as the notes say, when the Blubberts arrived, they took the first Ariorei beyond the ice to behold the home of the gods for the first time. It's interesting to learn about their religion, I guess, but none of this seems particularly relevant to crystal making. The next few paragraphs are about the Our Lady's homes, the Akus. They're amazing, a lot of positive adjectives and nice sentiments from a variety of sources. But that's about it. It doesn't say much. I'm not sure why Clone included it. Was she looking for something specific in this positive mush? There's also information about the Blubberts. They're also amazing. Very powerful, very various positive adjectives with the occasional bits of information sprinkled in. I can see why this took a while to translate. Lots of fluff. Or context, I guess. Fluffy context. On to the next paragraphs. More information about the Akus and the Blubberts. Apparently, each season offers different nutrients for the Blubberts. There are some notes that look like they might have come from an Our Lady training manual of sorts, warning the Our Ladies that depriving their Blubberts of certain nutrients will limit their abilities. That they need the nutrients from each of the gods. I wonder if the Blubberts gave them the warning. They probably did. The next paragraphs are Clone's notes, and suddenly I'm deep in crystal information. Her process of figuring out which nutrients make which crystals, lots of trial and error. A list of ingredients for each of the crystals, and with that a list of all the crystals, all named after numbers, which gives me a headache just to think about it. Why didn't she name the crystals after their functions? Preference, I guess, but I think the functions would be easier. Or shapes. Shapes would be better than numbers. There are a lot of crystals, rows upon rows of crystals, columns upon columns, enough to fill up several textbook pages. I keep scrolling and more crystals keep appearing. Crystals. Oh, no crystals on this page, just the innards and inner workings of a Blubbert. I think the basic idea is that the crystals are made using some combination of heating and compression. Let's move past this. It's a little weird looking at it in front of Blueberry. I keep tapping, but the Blubbert diagram doesn't move. It's the end. And I have no insight. Clone is watching me, waiting. Say something. Anything. So, I start, staring at the internal organs of a Blubbert. Anything, Reese. Anything. If you want to go back and look at something again, just tap the crystal twice, Clone says. She's staring at the crystal in my hand. Right, thanks, I say as I begin going through the notes again. She has a comprehensive list of nutrients needed, the resources that contain them, and which seasons you can find them during. She understands the biological process the Blubberts use to make the crystals. She understands everything. Come on, Reese, find something to say. How have you not figured this out? You know everything. That was something. Clone smiles. She doesn't look surprised, but I can see the disappointment in her eyes. Sorry, the only thing I could find that's close to a hole in your information is that you don't have the nutrients listed from that one god who didn't get a season. That is a missing piece of information. A piece of information that's probably missing because it doesn't exist. There can't be a list of nutrients for that god because he didn't get a season. All he got was Enki, something they didn't know existed until the blubberds came. So unless the blubberds are flying around in space. The nutrients are from Enki. What? Clone asks. She sounds confused. Blueberry is flickering. The nutrients are from Enki. I repeat, I probably sound crazy right now. There isn't a nutrient list for Enki, Clone says. Enki isn't a season. It's the planet we revolve around. Blueberry's still flickering. Exactly. What if the planet has a nutrient list? Blueberry's main method of transportation is meteors. Maybe she rides her meteor through the outer clouds of a gas giant to collect the minerals for nutrients or something. I'm not explaining this very well. That's an interesting idea. Clone starts with a weak smile. But I don't think it holds up. The reason the number of gods and the number of seasons doesn't line up is because the Book of Fetus took gods from existing religions and had them serve fetus as a symbolic gesture to show everyone that no matter where they came from, their gods have chosen this path, so they should as well. Over time, most of the gods from the earlier religions were scrapped, but the most important ones were repurposed and assigned seasons. Since there was one important god left who couldn't be scrapped, he was given Enki, the home of the gods. Yeah, I say as Blueberry squirms out of Clone's lap and flips over on the ground between us. That makes sense. Sorry, that's all I could think of. Actually, she figured it out. Glows back at us. I figured it out? Reese. We're on our way to another Aku and another giant snake. At least I'm pretty sure it's another giant snake. We could be in the same giant snake. I can't tell. They all look the same to me. Thinking about the giant snake is giving me a headache. Time to think about something else. Screon looks worried. Clone looks tired. I'm starting to think that's just their norm. Clone doesn't get any sleep because she's thinking about the crystals. Screon worries about Clone because she isn't getting any sleep. Rinse and repeat. It's charming. Everyone back on the base had some sort of normal as well. Mine was trying to keep up a positive attitude, with questionable results. Screon. She didn't rest when she was told to. She's not asleep this time. That shouldn't be a compliment. The sacrifice isn't oblivious to her state. The sacrifice's concern is a useful tool. One difficult to use when you're hardly awake. There's just one Aku left before we return home to complete the sacrifice. One Aku left for mistakes. And even if she does make those mistakes, the sacrifice will still be completed with minimal issues. I'd be certain of that statement if you were able to place your emotions aside, and if my associate wasn't involved. You're deliberately keeping your mind blank. My apologies. Just ask. Do you truly think your associate will push Clone down a path that could lead to her failure? I can't make any certain claims about my associate. Your mind is intentionally blank again. Ask. What could your associate possibly gain from another failure? If I knew I could stop this questionable behavior, and your mind's blank again, normally I can't notice. Ask. What could your associate possibly lose from another failure? That's almost blasphemous. I'm sorry. My apologies. Nothing. My associate has nothing to lose from another failure. Reese. Even if this is their norm, I should make sure they're okay. Tiffany would break down if someone didn't pull her out of her spirals, and Mark always needed someone to convince him to get back to work after sulking for a bit. Screon seems to be a bit more on edge than usual, but I might just be seeing things. Or I just came up with an excuse to talk to Clone first.